You want to know the truth about Shark Tank? I mean, everyone loves it. It's dramatic, it's exciting, and it makes startup fundraising look so simple. You walk in, you pitch for a few minutes, answer some tough questions, and then potentially walk out with a big check and a ton of PR. But real startup fundraising looks nothing like Shark Tank. I can tell you from experience, the actual process is way less glamorous, way less instant, and way more about long-term trust than some flashy TV moments. And before I break down the real process, let's give Shark Tank some credit. They do get a few things right, and you absolutely need a clear pitch and a great story. You need to come across as confident but not rude. You need to know your numbers, and yes, investors care about your traction, who's buying and how much revenue, what growth looks like. Those parts aren't friction, but here's the catch. Shark Tank compresses months, even years of work into a few minutes of TV. What you don't see is the long grind it takes to really become a fundable founder. Funding doesn't happen instantly. On TV, you pitch once and you either get a yes or no, and in reality, raising capital usually takes 6 to 12 months. And that's if you're prepared. Most founders go through dozens of conversations before they even hear their first yes. And it's not just about the pitch. Investors rarely cut checks after a single meeting. What really happens is you pitch, then you follow up, and then you meet again, and then you send updates. Sometimes investors want to see 2, 3, or even 4 quarters of progress before they make a decision. And they're not investing in your pitch or pitch deck. They're investing in you and your ability to deliver results consistently. And here's something Shark Tank never shows you is the due diligence process. On TV, it looks like a handshake deal because it is. The sharks actually know nothing about the founder who's about to walk in front of them. They don't cut a check right there, but they do have a little bit of a due diligence meeting or two after the show to confirm the founder is legit. In real life, due diligence can take weeks or even months. That means lawyers reviewing contracts, accountants verifying numbers, investors even calling customers to make sure they actually exist. And plenty of deals that you see on Shark Tank never actually close once they hit that due diligence stage. Plus, it's hard to glorify getting on the show because only 50% of those who get through the 75+ page application and the video interview process to get on TV. So you can make it in front of the sharks, get a deal, but potentially never get aired. And I know most apply for the PR, not just for the sharks, which is unlike the typical investor process where you get very little PR, but I know many founders who aired and they didn't even have the infrastructure to support their business due to the level of PR, and it forced them to close down. So that kind of status, most won't be ready for either. And let's talk about the introduction. So on Shark Tank, you also show up on a stage and pitch to investors who already agreed to listen. And in real life, the hardest part is even getting in the room. Most investors don't take cold pitches. They rely on warm intros from people they trust, other founders, portfolio companies, or mutual connections. And that's why building your network early is more important than building your pitch deck. And speaking of decks, Shark Tank makes it look like all you need is a great idea, some fun cliches to introduce your company, and a few sharp answers. But in the real world, your pitch deck is just the beginning. What investors really want is communication, clear communication. Can you explain your business in simple terms? Do you know your financials inside and out? Do you understand your customer better than anyone else? And if you can't answer those questions, no amount of Shark Tank style drama will save you. Now, I'm not saying Shark Tank is bad for founders by any means. In fact, it's inspired millions of people to believe they can start a business, and it's created incredible exposure for some entrepreneurs. But if you're a founder and you're watching Shark Tank as a playbook for fundraising, you're looking at a highlight reel, not the real game. Here's what startup funding really looks like. And again, this is kind of very high level, but step 1 is you build the relationships with the investors long before you need the money. Step 2 is you're refining your materials in stories that speaks clearly to your audience. Step 3 is you're pitching, but instead of expecting an instant yes, you follow up, you share progress, stay consistent while you plan to get rejected 99 out of the next 100 pitches. Step 4 is if they're interested, you go through due diligence, which is where the real work happens. And step 5, if everything checks out, then and only then you finally close the deal. It's not glamorous and it's not instant, but it's the truth. And that's why so many founders struggle, because they're chasing the TV version of fundraising instead of learning what it actually takes to be fundable. So here's my advice to every founder watching. Stop chasing Shark Tank moments and start focusing on becoming a fundable founder. That means knowing your numbers, working on getting customer proof and traction, building relationships, and communicating your vision with confidence. Investors don't fund ideas. They don't fund pitch theatrics. They fund founders who are confident, consistent, prepared, and credible. And that's exactly why I'm on a mission to help 10,000 founders become more fundable, not for TV, but in real life. If this helps shift your perspective, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Do you think Shark Tank actually helps founders or misleads them about fundraising? Love to hear your take. and I'll see you in the next video.